You're
A Matty old matchup, more barreled up ninjas, more of a dozen. What's Gucci mean, leprechauns? Embrace the blaze, Irish heat's fucking beat. John blows through dreams are bittersweet. Fenian fire lights the start, motherfucking breaks. Barrier climbs high, unspoken grades. Cops closing in, his fire's untamed. Vanished lands, vodka create a game. On Aussie shores, they hoped he'd fucking cave. Boyle laughs loud, I'll ride every goddamn wave. Break free, motherfucker, tide sway with rage. O'Reilly, Spectre slide, fucking engage. Snap those chains, let your wild spirit ignite. Irish fighter, raw, fucking fight. Climb high, breakout skies are that stage. O'Reilly's ghost knocking goddamn cage. Smash the chains, spirit unchained. Irish warrior forever, goddamn untamed. Oro musha, oro, rat tat 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 tat. Bust loose, motherfucker, sky's the wave. O'Reilly's ghost too strong to save. Chains get broken, he's free, no fears. Irish savage counting up the years. Oro musha, oro, rat tat 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 tat.
Amp, you can go back to normal. Amp, Slender's here now. But I tell you what, man, right? That was a great intro, right? That song.
yeah.
Pretty happy with that one. I like the at the beginning. I was like, that's perfect. This is Irish as you get. Alrighty. You know, by the way, people who come late, they have no idea how great these intros are. And it's upsetting. I put work into it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Whatever. All right.
Who are you talking about, Mad?
Welcome to Mad Pep episode 8, our second in a arc of St. Patty's Day specials. I'm me, they're them, we're us, and we are the YouTube equivalent to Braille because people feel us when we speak. Chat, even Imp got in on there.
Yeah, but I'm saving it up for Irish accents. You should be pleased with that. Like it's the one I can do 1% better than my normal voice.
Oh, 1%.
You know how hard it is to get that 1%. So
yeah, when you go from -1 to 0, I guess it's an upgrade.
Oh, dang it. Probably should have said this before we went live, but everybody was at the last minute. Did you have it broken down when we need to go do the different parts?
you mean the parts where you wanted to act it out, but then decided to move the show up 45 minutes? Yeah.
Nope, it's been like this ever since we started.
I don't think we started on a Saturday.
I don't see the relevance. Last week was the same time.
One time. Slender, did we move this up because it worked better for you and it's perfect for you?
Yeah, that's what we did.
See, Mad, there you go.
Hold on.
He threw you under the bus and said that it was you who decided it had to be 9:30 Eastern.
I didn't know it was 9:30 Eastern. I asked what time it was, and he never even told me. He's just like, we do it the same time.
It has
okay,
been
I
at
said,
this
yeah, what
time
if you
for
guys
a couple weeks, but at the beginning it was the same time as the old
What do you guys
stream.
think about starting at 20:30 CST? That's 8:30. And Slender says, I'm fine with it. And I was like, is everybody cool? Everybody's cool.
You
And
didn't
then
clarify that was the time forever. I thought you meant this time tonight when we do the show.
fine. I'll move it back to whatever time is more comfortable for you guys.
I would like to do 8 a.m.
I'm fine with 8 a.m.
He'd just stay up. The 8 a.m. is like 8 p.m. to us. It's just Mad being still up. I got the script at 6 a.m. on a Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, and then fucking Slender went all conspiracy theory making on Severance. He's ranting at me at like 9 in the morning while I'm laying down. I'm trying to go to sleep, and I'm just getting paragraphs of all the nonsense in Severance.
Listen, I had a lot of thoughts, and you were the one who had seen the show, and you're
I
the
have
one who
now
told
been
me
told
I should see the show. So
that Severance is another mystery box show that never gives any payoffs, so I don't want to watch
Not
it.
yet. It's only in season 2. I'm sure the payoffs are coming.
There's been no payoffs by season 2. Fuck that show.
there were lots of payoffs, but we're not
That's
there
what killed
yet.
From for us.
Anyway, so I guess we're gonna wait 30 minutes until we can start. Is that what we're doing, or can we start at this time?
Yes, we'll all sit here quietly until 10 o'clock.
All right.
You already did the intro. We already started.
Fine, forget it then.
We
All
said
right.
feel us.
So for the time being, I'm going to be live streaming to both my original channel and the new channel. If you're watching it on the new channel, on the old channel, get over to the new one, subscribe, hit that fucking bell, and be here weekly at, I guess, 9 Central now or some shit.
I thought we were doing 8:30.
We'll have
That's
this
what
conversation
time this
after
is.
the show. Chad, before
Yes,
I
sir.
before I have an aneurysm here, can you please get this going?
All right. I mean, how many sentences till the aneurysm?
An aneurysm. Are you back on the gummies?
That's
I
not
mean,
what happened with the gummies.
No, he
That
just
was-
died when he had the gummies.
That was a giggleism where he just he was stuck in a giggle loop that wouldn't
Giggled so hard that something exploded in his brain.
end.
Gonna
Yeah.
explode in your brain.
I heard he was doing laps
Already
down at
did.
YMCA.
That was a wasp, not mad.
Yeah, the wasp exploded in his neck.
All right. So our story starts in Ireland, June 1844.
Wait,
Specifically,
June 18th, 1844?
no, I said June 1844.
Sorry, okay.
We don't have like an exact date.
I changed it around for dramatic effect, but somebody interrupted me right when I was about to say it.
Oh.
Fine. I'm gonna be a diva.
Punched
about
up Matt's
it.
script, and now he's being all bitchy about you changing the script.
I made it well, I wouldn't say punch it up, but anyway.
Oh, I'm gonna say it because I think it
Chad
annoys
punching
Matt, the
something
idea
up.
of someone punching up his script.
You're really pushing for the aneurysm.
Not even
I
paying
mean,
attention.
I didn't know it was an option, but now that I do, I gotta take it, right?
Be careful, Matt. He's always after your Lucky Charms.
Migora.
All right, so it's June 1844, specifically June 28th, 1844, where John Boyle O'Reilly was born in the town of Drogheda.
When does
Well,
they open an auto
4
parts store?
miles above the town of Drogheda. Droghida.
Oh, Dorhida.
I don't
Drogheda.
speak the Celtic, so somebody can go-
Dorhida. Oh, you don't speak
Drogheda.
Gaelic?
No,
Real quick.
I'm
Because
mostly Italian.
I've been waiting to ask you guys this like forever now. Oh, does this mean anything to you guys? O'Reilly's
O'Reilly
Auto
Auto Parts.
That's
Is that
why
a
I
national
asked When
thing?
he opened
Yes,
an auto
that's a
parts
national
store.
chain.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know. That's why I was asking.
I don't
heard he
know
has
why
the
you
Midas
got
touch.
higher on the auto parts. Because it's O'Reilly's.
Doesn't it usually
Auto
go lower?
parts.
Yeah, it
Parts.
goes lower on the
No,
auto
it's
parts.
Auto parts.
No, it goes like base on the auto parts. part.
Yeah,
Auto parts. It goes down.
auto parts.
It drops an octave.
Simona.
It's
All right, so
ignorant.
it's June 1844.
June 28th, 1844.
Christ.
I mean, he's got an exact date, so we might as well use it.
All right. So John was born in Douth Castle. I
Douth?
guess that's Douth. I'm going with Douth.
That's
but-
correct.
probably
Deuce
douche.
Castle.
Okay. So his father, William David O'Reilly, was the headmaster at Netterville Institution built on the grounds of Douth Castle. Both
Wait,
John's go
Hold
ahead.
on. He lived in the castle, but in the school was outside of his castle?
Grounds on the ground.
Oh, sorry, on the
ground.
grounds, right. Somewhere between the moat and the walls.
I mean, if I'm going by Downton Abbey, these places tend to have like voluminous amount of acreage you can build things. So. I
This is true.
Yeah, so
Was
basically
it
he
only
was
his family in the castle?
so his dad was Dumbledore and taught at Hogwarts, built on the grounds of Duth Castle.
And based on his size at birth, he was Flitwick.
Both John's parents were known for their literary talent. Specifically, his mother Eliza was very intelligent and known to also be hospitable.
Oh, I'm gonna kick your ass. No, I'm gonna kick your ass.
Wait, what
They-
do you think?
Very
Literary? Oh,
Yeah,
it's funny that she was intelligent because she knew to be nice to people when they came over. Like, oh, welcome to our castle. Oh, she's so smart. Look at her being nice to everybody.
she served them all some potatoes.
Tis a genius way to get more drink.
She was so hospitable. She would like, do you want it baked? Do you want it fried? Do you want it
Oh, I don't want
mashed?
mine on a toothpick.
One person asked for them scalloped, and she said, "Get the fuck right out." All right. So they had a total of 5 daughters and 3 sons, all of whom showed poetic qualities, but John was the one who had the most poetic talent.
You fuckers, you don't have near the talent of poetry. I'm a poeter, and you don't know how you get at my level.
I have more limericks in my one pinky than you have in your entire brain.
Have you heard of this feller from Nantucket?
All right. From a young age.
I was the one that came up with the roses are red and violets are blue. Those aren't even the right colors.
I'm super poetic. I'm from Ireland. I didn't even say green. All right. From a young age, he was known to be a brave and good-humored boy. He was not easy to anger. Having a good education, he left the home at the age of 11 to be an apprentice.
That's one of my favorite things about all this history shit is when they're like, and he had learned everything he could learn, so he left at 10 to be a pirate or to be a scout.
His mother wanted him to stay, but his father said, no, he's 2 years overdue.
Right? It's amazing today. They're 30-year-old men living in their mom's like basement or whatever. These fuckers at this time were like, you're 11,
Slender.
get out.
By the way, Slender, how's that going for you?
Shut up.
Dad's like for his last lesson before we turn him out at 11, let the boy watch.
Oh, what?
Have you never seen Eastbound and Down?
Yeah, I didn't really like it. He had 0 like redeeming qualities. I guess need one, man.
It's like the boy was turned out for his apprenticeship at 11. The girls
He
were
was
all married
turned
off
out?
at 10. Yeah, that's what it's going. I'm making a joke.
Turned
based
out
on
for what?
Rowan. For
Oh.
in this
That's
case,
turned down for what?
he became an apprentice in the local printing office. So in the printing office of a local paper. The money he earned was given entirely to his family.
Oh, okay, so he was a slave. Got it.
Yeah.
Hey, Sherry.
Hey, Sherry.
Then I guess this would be more of an indentured servitude contract. After 4 years, the owner of the paper died, and that was the end of his apprenticeship. Sorry.
Now I have become the master.
No, he didn't. He was out of that business. So an uncle of his was the captain of a ship, and when he came to town, he offered to take John to Preston to visit his aunt. John took the invitation to visit his aunt and soon found himself working at The Guardian, which is a famous newspaper even today, where he eventually became a reporter. Preston was a big Catholic city with a large Irish population. Oh my gosh. A large Irish population and it's Catholic. That's shocking. It was originally called Priesttown.
Oh, Priesttown. I'm only 11. I can't go to Priesttown.
He was,
I
I
think
guess
it's
he,
safe for people in Priesttown if they're 11.
I guess he was turned out if
Turned out for what?
for Priesttown.
You want to talk about the town that when the street lights come on, you gotta go. You better be indoors. Because the priests, they come roaming at night to the lakes.
Why, in my head, why am I just picturing the old man from Family Guy? Hey,
That's
oh,
all of
Riley
them.
boy.
Hundreds of
Riley.
those guys roaming the streets at night.
Oh,
Do you want to take some communion, or do you have
and
something?
he is
to
a paper
confess?
boy. Like Chris was. Like, I got a heap there, paper boy. I got a tip for you in my pocket.
You got to get that little whistle.
I can't do the whistle
Hi,
thing.
Chris.
I can't do the whistle thing.
I've got a 4-leaf clover in my pocket.
Clove.
All right. So it was, like I said, it was originally called Priesttown and
Yeah.
eventually became known as Preston.
As the Pope's hiding spot for the for the troublemakers.
Okay. So while there, he joined the 11th Lancashire Rifle Volunteers, and he was an enthusiastic soldier. After
He was 13 years old.
I mean, he was a little old. I get it, Matt, but the Lancashire Rifle Volunteers needed to meet their recruiting quotas.
They needed every man they could get.
It should be noted that O'Reilly was upset because he was promised a T-shirt at enlistment, and it's the one thing he never got.
Oh, I never got the T-shirt. They promised me. It was the recruiting video with all the potatoes they promised you.
After 3.5 years, his father ordered him home. Like, that's what, like 3.5 years. The boy's still gone. All right, I guess he should come home.
Probably because he stopped getting checks.
So this was the end of his apprenticeship at the Guardian, and it was time to get a job at an Irish newspaper. So when in Preston, surrounded by a bunch of Irishmen, he became obsessed with the idea of revolution.
Wait, was the newspaper called the Potato and
No, or it may have been, but that's not in my information and background that I have. So he dreamed of making his country free. Freedom. He was probably inspired by William Wallace, that true historical figure.
It's like, oh, the fucking Scots did it. Why can't we?
So, as we learned last week, there was a movement in Ireland called the Fenians,
What?
a fraternal
Fenians?
organization dedicated to the establishment of an independent Irish republic. In the 1860s, Ireland was considered pacified. This was the case because millions had died in the potato famine. So,
Oh, my Finian brothers, all we got to do is take over one of their countries, hold it hostage.
So the English were, again, considered them pacified at this point, but what they didn't realize that there were just fewer people to be discontented. That's one of my favorite lines, by the way, man.
Thank you.
But the Fenians were still planning their revolution. One way they went about this was being trained as soldiers. They did this by joining the British Army. In 1860, more than 30% of the regular British Army were Irishmen.
Of course.
I like how they're using the same tactics on both sides of the ocean. We'll just join the Civil War. It'll give us training.
Well, that was
We'll
for
just join
practice.
the British Army. It'll give us training.
What's funny is, regardless of which side of the Atlantic they're on, it was always about invading Canada. How do we get all right, we're all in Ireland. We've joined the British Army. What do? We invade Canada.
They'll never see it coming. We have the red coats and everything. We just walk in like we own the place. Quick, get a ladder.
We can stop by Greenland on the way and take that too. All right. John O'Reilly became one of those men when he enlisted in May 1863. At the same time, his true objective was to overthrow the British government. So he was committing an act of treason, with the penalty for treason being death.
What?
Eventually, the British figured out that what was going on, and they realized they had an Irish problem.
They had an Irish problem.
An Irish problem?
Yeah. My good sir, there's so many R's in our army.
So what the Irish problem is, if they had that many soldiers who were Irishmen, sentencing any guilty Fenians to death would have terrible consequences on morale and the operational capacity of their military.
So they were trying to find an answer to the Irish question, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
my lord, I think I have the final solution.
That's 2 weeks in a row.
Prima Nocte.
So, while this was going on, 19-year-old John began trying to recruit Irish soldiers actively into the ranks of the Fenians.
Hey, Mickey. Mickey, you ever heard about this group I'm in called the Fenians? You know,
Shut
they're
up,
quite
John.
cool.
Do you have my money? Do you have my money, John?
What the fuck are you talking about? The Fenians.
The Fenians. Oh, you know, he potato.
All right.
Just
I'll join
shut
ya,
it,
but it'll
Boyd.
cost
Get me
you a
another
whiskey.
pint.
So, John had a certain personal magnetism that made him great at recruiting. His
Hey,
fellow
just
man
look at my
was
charisma. If you would like some charisma like mine, just join.
his fellow soldiers couldn't help but be attracted to the cause. He was called the life of the barracks. He was also a model soldier, quick to learn and always following the rules while singing treasonable songs and ballads in the barracks.
Oh, did you see what John did the other night in the barracks?
Reasonable songs?
Well,
Yeah,
you
like-
remember from was it from
He is the most
Braveheart, when-
poetic of the children.
I hate the British. I hope they all die. I'm only here to kill the British. Fuck them all.
he was singing outlawed songs on outlawed pipes.
I've got my reasons to do a treason.
I am an outlaw.
He was like, I'm singing U2 songs. He's like, Sunday, bloody Sunday. So
And
At this point-
wanted, dead or alive, potato.
it's like, he's going down in a blaze of glory, that one.
Oh, but he's still charismatic. You see what he did with the potato in the barracks?
All right. So at this point, the British government sent spies in amongst the
I've
soldiers.
never seen someone deep throat a potato like him. Go on.
On a
To
bed of
investigate-
roses.
to investigate how far the Fenian influence had spread. One of those sent in was Head Constable Talbot. Talbot was said to have converted many soldiers to the Fenian cause himself while betraying them all to the government.
Hey,
So,
hey,
So
Mickey, Mickey, can I talk to you for a minute? What do you think about joining the Fenians? The who? The Fenians. You're under arrest. What the fuck?
So,
No.
Clap that
It
man
should
in
be-
irons.
it should be noted that Head Constables Talbot's methods have been adopted by the FBI here in the United States and were used to
Yes.
great effect in Michigan in a plot to kidnap Governor
That's
Whitman.
exactly how it went. Like, hey, you hate the British like me, huh? Oh, yeah, I mean, they're okay, I guess. I can take them or leave them. You should join the Fenians. No. You get 3
Hold on.
potatoes a week.
Wait, why
okay,
is
I'll
the
sign up.
why is the negative Irish soldier suddenly sounding Mexican? Like, no, essay.
I was trying to separate the two so you know which one because nobody was playing with me. So I had to play with myself.
I
All right.
didn't know where you were going with that particular skit, so I didn't want to derail
Well,
you.
sometimes I just kind of go with it.
So Constable Talbot would later be shot dead on a Dublin street.
Why?
I don't know because the
For being a turncoat bastard.
the source material seems rather light on what he did to get killed.
Was it? What?
My
No,
guess
it
is
had
belonging to
nothing
the
to do with
Fenians.
him portraying the Fenian Brotherhood.
Recruiting and then betraying him all.
As I remember from Patriot games, the radical revolutionary Irish people are very tolerant of people who change sides. So,
Never suspect anyone.
all right,
Very trusting we are.
On September 15th, the hammer dropped. The Irish People newspaper was seized. Editors were arrested. This was the paper that was one of the hearts of the movement. From there, they found letters from soldiers to other soldiers. None of the letters had been destroyed, so their OPSEC was really bad.
That also seems that also seems to be a through line with the Fenians that they're not good at secrets.
Let's write down all of the evidence all the time.
Hey, Mickey,
Hey.
I probably shouldn't be writing you this, but I can't wait to overthrow the British. What do you think? I agree. Let's
Hey,
kill them all.
Hey, McGillicuddy, are we really keeping all the letters with the lists of every Fenian soldier? Yeah, that's what it's
This-
there for. Why
It's
wouldn't we?
history, mate. People are going to want to know the struggle.
Okay, so that was the Australian bleeding in with the mate.
We've got to write down all the ways to make a bomb. That way, at some point, one of our own can go against Jeff Bridges.
But we're going to
Nobody's
disguise
seen
it
blown
as
away.
Blown away.
as a drink.
Yeah. An Irish car bomb.
Well, no, at this time it was the Irish wagon bomb.
You're not allowed to get those in Virginia. It's sad.
The
You're not
wagon
allowed-
bombs?
You're not allowed to get any drink that's multiple drinks in one drink. You have
What?
to serve them, they have to serve them separately.
So that's a lot of different glasses for a Long Island.
Right?
Yes, well, that's a mixed drink. It's different. There's a complicated. They pass a weird rule. Virginia's got
They
very
do have a
weird
weird
alcohol
rule.
rules.
You're allowed to pour 7 different alcohols into each other, but if you drop a glass of alcohol into another glass, that's not mixing.
Yes,
That's
that is
illegal.
If I
That
remember
is-
correctly, and this might be hearsay. Chad might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but they were having problems with teenagers and Four Loko.
Oh, yeah.
Right
Did I
after the Jaeger bomb craze.
Yeah.
Did I
But
ever
the Four Loko specifically, because it's like an energy drink combined
Yeah.
with hard alcohol. Like
when
teenagers were binging it, and one died.
when I was a cop, when those first came out, the desk lieutenant for day shift, right? He's at the gas station and he's like, "Man, I need an energy drink." So he buys one. He's on a shift, right? And he's like, "Man, I'm starting to feel kind of weird."
Doesn't know that it's alcoholic.
Had no clue, and now he's all fucking buzzed.
And it was like 10 or 12%, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, it was
yeah. He
something
got one of the big
crazy.
ones.
Yeah.
He had no clue.
Like a
That's
beer's 5%. The Four Locos were like 10 or 12%, I think.
easily, yeah. And he
Yes.
drank the whole fucking thing. He's like, I don't have as much energy as I thought, but I do have more of a buzz.
I feel good, but I also feel really good.
They had to send him home.
All right. So at this point, the English had everything they needed to start making the arrests. And
Yeah,
it
all
was
the
soon
letters.
John O'Reilly's turn. They pushed, and once arrested, they pushed him to inform, but like a good soldier, he would not. In his cell, he instead wrote poetry, sometimes on paper and sometimes on the wall of his cell using a nail. He was charged with mutiny. Not
Wait.
treason, though, so that's good.
That's
Sounds
good,
like
but
he should be charged with vandalism.
because of the walls. By the way,
Yeah.
that had to be the shorter ones. Like,
Wait,
the,
isn't mutiny the charge when you're in the Navy?
Yes.
Sure, but this is British Army, so who the fuck knows?
Yes,
Like,
they have land admirals.
They have land animals. They call them commodores, right? All right.
There's 64 of them.
So several soldiers did testify against him. O'Reilly was then convicted of mutiny and sentenced to 20 years in prison. All Fenian soldiers.
He was
who were
19, right?
at this point. Yep.
So double his current lifespan.
Yeah. So all the Fenian soldiers who were convicted were branded with the letter D for deserter on their chest. They didn't really desert, though. I feel like that was not accurate.
They should have written a constitution over there so
Oh,
that
what's,
the British knew that they were actually
Yeah.
very devoted to Britain while serving in their army.
True. But like, oh, what's the D for, Mickey? Oh, Dublin, of course.
Of course, the British at that time probably didn't take well to constitutions.
No.
No, they wanted things that were Magna Cartas. All right. So O'Reilly was then marched through the streets with 2 other convicted Fenians, all chained together, and they were shipped to England.
Shame. Shame.
Shame.
Or
With-
Clover.
where they were sent where they were shipped to England and put in solitary confinement to await the severe physical punishment that was also included as part of their sentences.
Is that like all right, your sentence is 20 years plus severe physical, what was it?
Punishment.
Severe physical punishment?
Punishment,
Like,
yeah.
that's a little open-ended, don't you think, Judge?
It's like,
You think
you
we
know,
can
you're
narrow
gonna
it
get
down?
you're gonna get, what is it? You're gonna get the
Flogged?
flogged. You're maybe gonna get drawn, maybe quartered, not so much quartered, but definitely drawn.
Put a potato in his ass.
Gonna have to work in the dilithium mine zone. Repente.
Watch out for the shapeshifter.
Indeed.
All right. In their
Yes.
cells. I mean, what? You don't know the undiscovered country? You man of no culture.
Chad gets my
Okay.
jokes.
In their cells, the prisoners communicated with each other by tapping on pipes. So at this point, they're tapping on pipes while they
Hey.
serve their time in solitary
Hey, Brahma.
confinement.
Hey, Matt.
I don't think my mic is picking me up the tapping that I'm doing on this Red Bull can.
No, it's not.
Never mind.
Why
We
did
can
you-
keep going.
Why did you sound very like Austrian, like sprockets right there? Hey, Vama.
Why are you trying
That
to
was the time you danced.
Oh, I can hear that, yeah.
It's like, oh no, they got O'Reilly
Oh,
in
no.
solitary.
Oh no, he's tapping in Gaelic. I don't know.
That goddamn O'Reilly's writing poetry again on the pipes. Tell him to shut the fuck up.
Irish tap dance. You mean what is it? What's it called?
River dance.
River dance. Yes, it.
Are you the Lord of the Dance, Michael Flatley?
I
I
could
would.
be.
Yes.
I think you should totally, for one of yours, if you were doing your Irish things, you should have put your face on Michael Flatley doing the dancing. That would have been a good avatar.
Hey.
All right. Where were we? So at this point, they chained the three of them back together and marched them back through the city to another prison.
What? Like this is like they're on a pub run, a pub crawl, but it's like a prison crawl. Like, all right, you spent 3 years at this one. Wait until you see the next one.
Oh yeah. So for the next one, they put them in cells which had just recently received ventilation from where
Nice.
the bathrooms were.
Not nice.
Yeah, I gotta derail this whole thing. I have a question. Is this what inspired the movie Dead Poets Society?
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Yes.
Mm.
Seems like
I
Dead
don't know.
Poets Society shit.
Does it? Were they in prison
That
cells
seemed like
next?
boarding school, not a whole bunch of different prisons.
Boarding
ventilating
school, prison,
the
what's the
restroom.
difference?
That is true. Oh, if I've never been to one.
I mean, I know Brahma thinks they're awesome because he went to like some rich boarding
Oh,
school.
right.
Yes, where we played polo on all the horses all day.
Oh, and then they're like, "Hey, we should put them in water. That's gonna be a fun."
I feel
little
like we haven't
wrinkle."
played enough polo today. Let's play water polo after.
The horses aren't strong swimmers.
Ugh, I dated a
right.
chick that played water polo.
I don't know though. I'm
Dumbest
getting
fucking
Dead
shit.
Poets Society vibes off this whole thing.
All right. So at this point, they're in when they got transferred to the bathroom ventilation cells.
Right? Yeah.
They decided they needed to try to escape.
Why?
But they were caught, and then they were sent to another prison in Portsmouth.
Good lord, how many prisons did they have?
The Portsmouth was where the worst prisoners were sent. They tried to escape again and were caught again. And then, so after this escape attempt, they were put on a diet of only bread and water for a month.
Ooh, that shit sucks.
I
Yeah.
thought you were going to say they got, since they tried to escape again and got captured again, they get cycled back to the easiest criminal prisons instead of the hardest criminals.
Nope. Now they were sent to Dartmoor prison, which was the worst prison in England.
You know, bread and
wait.
water was actually a punishment in the Navy up until I think it was 2018. I think they got rid of it.
Really?
You had to really fuck up, and they could give you 3 days bread and water. And I'd never seen the punishment implemented, but apparently it was a thing all the way up until 2018.
When we say
Slender's first
bread,
3 months.
when we say bread, I'm picturing like a loaf, like a you know,
sheep
like
herder's
medieval
bread.
Yeah, like, and it's toasted. Maybe have a little butter. Like, you know what? It doesn't
Then you
sound
remember
that
that
bad.
it's the military, and it's like, here's a piece of white bread.
Yeah, here's some bread. Here's some water. No,
Would
you
you
don't
like
take
it?
fucking butter.
Would you like some Wonder Bread? No, we can't toast it. Screw you.
Yeah,
This is
historical
punishment.
practice that was eliminated on January 1st, 2019 with the new law.
2019.
Yep.
Good lord, that seems
the
way
army,
too late in the game.
No, in the army, they don't put you on bread and water. They're just like, why didn't you pull the fire suppression system?
Here we
You owe
go.
us a lot of money.
Here we go.
Anymore, they're like, no, we got rid of the bread and the water rations, but we're going to start you on estrogen.
All right. All right, so they were sent to Dartmoor prison,
which was the worst prison, but
prison
they're coming from the prison where the worst prisoners are sent. And they go from there to the. You would think that the worst prisoners would be sent to the worst prison.
No, so
I would think they were already at the worst, where the toilets basically ventilated directly
that means the
into where they
English
slept.
judicial system. They're like, look, this is where we send the worst people. What's the worst prison? Okay, no, that one's too bad even for them. Oh no, those goddamn Irishmen tried to put them there. So when they were when they were sent to Dartmoor, one of the prisoners died on the day he was released. The other lived a life of endless pain as a result.
What?
The food at Dartmoor prison was so bad, prisoners actually just chose to eat candles. They also
candles
and drink boot oil. As a result,
what the fuck is boot oil?
Like when
it's oil that you use.
No.
When you wear your boot all day and you sweat in it.
That's sweat. No, it's when you
keep the leather from.
I think
it's twist the boot, over a glass, and that juice comes out. Boot juice.
I'm pretty sure Brahma's right. In the old days, when everyone was wearing leather footwear, you had the oil to make sure the leather
I'd
didn't
sooner eat
break.
the kiwi boot polish than boot oil. That sounds awful.
Boy.
Anyway, so
that would essentially be the same thing.
Because of all this, so because of this, prison officials actually had to give prison candles a horrible odor to prevent them from being eaten instead of the food.
It's like when kids chew their nails and you have to put that nail polish on it that makes it like taste bad so they won't bite their nails. They had to do that with candles. Like these fucking candles. All these herbal essence candles.
In Epicac.
They put a bitterant in the candle wax.
Oh.
So as earlier referenced
was urine.
With the two men that O'Reilly was sent there with, they were in that prison for 12 years. And as we said, one of them got out and died immediately.
The day he's like, finally freedom. I can go back home to my wife and
so the other one lived a life of endless pain as a result. And O'Reilly, while following all the prison rules, was still going to attempt another escape. He was working on a gang outside the prison walls when he made this next break. He had made himself a suit out of bedding sheets, and when the fog rolled,
exactly. By suit, you mean toga.
I'm going with what's written because that's all I know. All right, when the fog rolled in,
no, I'm not Irish. I'm Greek.
So as the fog rolled in, he hid inside a drain, and when the prisoners were ordered back inside, he made his run for it. He managed to avoid capture for 2 days. He was finally found in a river holding onto the bank with one hand.
So my name's not O'Reilly. It's Plato.
It's Plato. You may know me from my famous work, The Republic. Ever heard of it?
So O'Reilly, as a result, was ordered to be tortured for 28 days and put on again the diet of just bread and water. And that
sounds better than the candles and
right? Like it sounds like they were rewarding him.
And that's when word came that O'Reilly was going to be transferred again, but this time to the prison colony of Australia.
Yeah.
Oh, they're gonna have fun down under.
And I guess this next part,
this is where the real story begins.
So this is, I suppose, a first-person description from O'Reilly because it's not really.
He's a writer.
So O'Reilly stated and described it as I stood on the hatchway looking at the wretches glaring out, I realized more than ever before the terrible truth that a convict.
Chad.
Do you need to do it in Irish?
Yeah,
he's Irish.
Yeah,
he's like we don't know who you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
As I stood on the hatchway looking at the wretches glaring out, I realized more than ever before the terrible truth that a convict ship was a floating hell. A convict, I guess that's supposed to be convict ship, but let me correct that. Convict ship.
We don't need you to add commentary on
Real-time corrections aren't needed. It'll never be read again.
You had like
I disagree.
4 days.
I want the commentary. I want all the commentary.
You know that Slender is a grammar Nazi, so he's like,
that's why I never send him these.
The forward hold was dark. The yellow light of a few ships' lamps glowed. There were 320 criminal convicts in there, and the second thought occurred to us was that our friends are among them. So, his friends were on the ship, and one called out to him. It was a man named Keating. The Finians had secured their own room apart from the criminals. So
wait a second. Somebody called out in the middle of the night, O'Reilly, and only one guy answered. I don't believe that at all.
I didn't even think about that. Just one guy.
Hey, O'Reilly, are you here?
You said they have their own.
75 of the 300 are like 75 of the 300 are like, I'm here.
Did you call for me? No, O'Cleary, I didn't call for you either. I said O'Reilly. O'Reilly, goddammit.
Hey, somebody's saying O'Reilly over there. That's me. Mickey O'Reilly. But you said they had their own room.
Yeah, so the
300 of them?
No, the Finians. Not all of the Finians.
Okay.
Out of the 300 criminals on the ship, 320 criminals on the ship, the Finians basically created their own prison gang and gave themselves their own special quarters and pushed the other people out.
I picture them in this room like in Goodfellas, and they're like, oh, we're making potato soup tonight. And they're like all doing like the whole cooking scene from Goodfellas.
Not spaghetti? What? I don't understand.
Potato Getty. Never mind. Go on.
Maybe they're making gnocchi. That's made from potatoes, and it's like a noodle.
We're making cabbage, you dumb shit.
Oh, Mickey, do you remember the candle wax? Oh, the boot with the boot juice.
Now take off your socks so we get a little bit of flavor.
So out of the 320 criminals, 63 were political prisoners. They were the first political prisoners being sent to Australia since the Irish Uprising of 1848. While on the ship's chaplain gave O'Reilly paper on which he wrote a periodical. O'Reilly began a weekly publication on the ship. He would write up the news of the ship and read it aloud to everybody.
Oh, Mickey got scurvy.
Meanwhile, he's like, do you guys want me to keep doing this? And they're like, no. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing this. No, I know you really want me to.
Our request for a new shit rope has been declined once again. If you know anything about ships at that time, that's a real thing. The shit rope, right? Wouldn't they have to shit down a rope? Something to do with a rope.
They would sit in the netting, like on the side, I forget what the hell it's called. Rigging?
Yeah.
They had rigging hung over the side, and they would sit on the rigging and shit through it.
Gross.
Oh, that's
where else are you gonna shit?
I mean, the ship rope sounds a little better.
I'm not sure how that one works.
What the shit rope is.
I don't remember. It's something about they had to shit down into a bucket and there was a rope attached to it. I don't know.
Yeah, but what do you attach the rope to on you?
Not on you. It's like a community shit rope. So it's attached to the boat.
Did they wipe their ass with the rope?
I don't. Did they even wipe
their
ass?
The clamshells?
I feel like Matt has some crazy dreams.
Yeah, I think Matt is. I don't know. I don't know if I'm buying this.
Man,
these are the dreams you have when you sleep during the day.
I'm gonna make a note about
Matt
this.
Should patent the shit rope and see if it'll sell to anybody.
Tired of shitting through nets on a boat
by yourself.
And for those of you who are on a ship with friends, we have the communal model.
The shit rope can accommodate up to 4 shitters at once.
All right,
man, y'all gonna fuck up my algorithm. I'm gonna have to Google shit rope on a boat.
DiCaprio's like
tickling is fucking up your algorithm.
DiCaprio's like, I want one of those for my yacht,
but only if it works on 18
to 25-year-olds.
And Johnny Depp is like, keep that shit away from my yacht.
We'll call this model the Amber.
Have you heard?
Because it works in the bed. All right. There was a punishment cell on the ship for those who didn't behave. they would in this room, in this cell, they would tie up convicts and flog them on a every morning basis. So that's just what you do. It's what you do. You just get them and flog them.
What's
So
your first shift of the day? Got to go flog the guys in the cell. Oh, bother.
So they finally arrived in Fremantle on January 10th, 1868. He got off the boat and O'Reilly noticed that the punishment for many offenses was death. As it would be.
Where do you land a ship full of convicts going to a continent full of convicts? Fremantle.
All right, so the political prisoners.
I was told I don't have to be funny. Screw you guys. I'm done.
It was because I just decided to move on and keep reading it. Okay.
No, it's because Mad keeps sighing even when I can't hear it.
I was Googling shit rope. It did not give me the results I needed.
It did not get you what you thought you were going to see.
Mad's like, okay, well, maybe I have to turn off save search, and that was a mistake.
Two girls, one rope.
All right,
and a bucket.
So the political prisoners who were not soldiers were sent to Perth to work on road gangs after 4 weeks at Fremantle. O'Reilly was sent to Bunbury. There he worked on a road gang too. He was now with murderers, burglars, and criminals of every kind.
Oh, I can't believe they have me with all these criminals. What did I do? It's totally different.
So O'Reilly managed to quickly develop a good relationship with his warder. He was used as a messenger, which meant he traveled regularly between the work camp and the prison in Bunbury.
Warder or ward-in?
No, warder.
Yeah, that's what they were called.
The guards.
Okay.
As in
guards.
Comes from the ward. You are the warder. They are the ward, so they are under your.
Yep, they're the wardee. You're the warder. They're the screws.
Yep. So the warder, who also used O'Reilly to carry letters to his family, and he became a regular visitor to the Woodman family home.
I hope they don't have a daughter.
At some point, he started banging Woodman's daughter, Jessie.
Hey, no, I'm just an Irish bad boy. I can't be saved.
So, in spite of
you think you can fix me?
Reports are he walked up to her and was like, "Have you ever heard of Ireland? It's my island."
I've worked you a poem. I'm an Irish
you
bad
got a little
boy.
Irish in you? Oh no, would you like some?
It's like,
I'm an Irish bad boy. There's no need for your toy when you got me between your foot. Go on. I'm not a poet.
Boy.
Wow.
All right. On the 27th of December, 1868, in spite of all these good things going for him, O'Reilly attempted suicide by cutting the veins on his left arm. He collapsed from a loss of blood and was found by another convict who saved his life.
What an asshole.
I mean, I don't know.
Convicts
I guess
like, you're not getting out of here if I'm not.
what that tells us is that Jesse was like a mid 2 to 3 at best.
And broke up with him. Well, it's a 3 anywhere else, but in a penal colony, she was a 10.
A 10 of effing 10.
A 10.
All I keep
give her a 10.
O'Reilly's on that chain gang, and all he sees is Jesse's fat ass in his face.
Miss Jessie, will you go prom with me?
So after the suicide attempt, he told the priest he couldn't go on like this, and he knew he wouldn't make it in the bush. He tried to escape. He dived.
If he tried to escape, he would have died of thirst or starvation.
All right, that's another correction I missed. Had he tried to escape, he would have died of thirst or starvation. Father Patrick McCabe. I mean, why are they manning these? With Irishmen, this is a bad idea. Had been in Australia for 15 years. He would ride from camp to camp on his horse, ministering to the convicts. Over the years he was there, O'Reilly had become friends with the priest. He told the priest his plans to escape from Australia, but McCabe said it would be suicide. He then said, "Don't think on that again. Let me think out a plan for you. You'll hear from me before long."
Now, you said his name was McCabe. That doesn't sound like the correct. accent for a guy named McCabe.
Don't think on that again. Let me think out a plan for you. You'll hear from me before too long. Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
One day, O'Reilly was approached by a friend of the priest named McGuire. We're really checking all the Irish bosses here.
They're all Irish.
McGuire informed O'Reilly that in 3 months, whaling ships would come and he would get O'Reilly on one of the ships.
Do you know how to whale?
When February came, McGuire said a whaling ship called the Vigilant would take him. McGuire arranged all the details. O'Reilly got a pair of shoes that were not convict shoes, so the trackers couldn't easily trace him.
That's important. You got to make sure that you got to switch your shoes out because those arrows is going to lead you right to the convicts. That's how bounty hunters do it.
Is that how Dog did it?
Well, yeah, on the convict shoes, they're going to have arrows pointing the way of where they're running. That just makes sense.
What are you wearing? I'm wearing my Air O'Reillys, man. At 7 o'clock on the night of the escape,
how did they find me?
O'Reilly was in his hut. Moments later, another convict came by to borrow some tobacco. The other convict finally left around 8 o'clock.
Does anybody really borrow tobacco?
I was gonna say, is he gonna give it back? Because I don't think you'd want it back.
He sounds like that. You're ready for like your guest to leave. You're like, okay, you gotta go. I got something to.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Would you like some tobacco?
It's like so. Yeah. So when he finally leaves at 8, O'Reilly just gets up and bolts. It was around 11 o'clock when he reached the convict station. He was told to get, and then he heard the sound of a horse. Then the horse stopped. Then someone whistled the song Patrick's Day. That was the signal.
Nobody will know. It's only for one specific person that will get this. Nobody will suspect anything if I'm whistling an ours tune.
He ran out of the bushes, and there he found McGuire and another man. They all got on a horse and took off.
All three of them?
Oh, wait, he found McGuire and another man? What were they doing?
They were whistling Patrick's Day.
Then at the location, McGuire whistled and another man came up and took their horse and rode off.
Who came up with this plan?
Then they walked for an hour to a swamp.
Did they just got rid of their getaway horse?
Well, I think that was so that they would be harder to track.
Dude, you can't take a getaway horse into the swamp.
Oh, yes. No, the horse still has his convict shoes. We got to get rid of it.
So they walked an hour to a swamp. A light signal came from across the sea. That from there they got into a waiting rowboat and headed out. They rowed 40 miles across Geographic Bay, where they would wait for the Vigilant. By this point, O'Reilly was starving and needed water. He could barely function.
Probably because of the 40 miles they just had to row.
Yeah, the others left him to go to a nearby home. Wait a second. How did they leave him on the boat? Like, I'm very confused by this.
Parked.
After they rode 40
that's called
miles?
dropping anchor.
Yep, okay. They parked, and then they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go check out and see if this house has any potatoes." And they left him there to guard the boat.
I got it. All right, so then
dropping anchor is what you do when you're out at sea. They made port.
Yep,
Jana's calling us names.
So this is all right. So they must have got
all boners. That's a good one.
Yeah, I believe that based on context clues from the further in this paragraph, they were all off the boat because the others left him to go to a nearby home, and when they didn't come back for hours, he remembered that the natives he had heard would kill an animal.
Chad,
when they
you keep that attitude going, and you're off the boat. How about that?
So he looked around a tree and found one with possum marks. Then he found the possum in the tree, grabbed it, smashed its head against the trunk, and it was true. Fresh meat was a good substitute for water.
But by the way, they're pooping. No, that's only if you have a shit rope. You had to go back to get the context for that. So, by the way, the possum in Australia is adorable. It's not like the possums we have in America.
They're the exact same species.
What's wrong with the possums in America?
They're
like, ugly as fuck.
They're the same exact animal. They're the same species.
They look so different.
No, they're not. They are the same. there's like, I think if I remember right, there's like no genetic difference between them.
All right, Jana wants us to just start over. To the top of the script, Chad.
Yep. Let's take it from the beginning.
Do we include the same bad jokes?
Does this look anything like our possum?
Yep.
Yeah, if you take all the hair off.
Yeah, pretty much exactly the same.
What? Are y'all fucking with me? This is no. Look at
Does
this.
Matt know what a
now you
possum
can't see
is?
it.
Do you have like different possums in Texas or something?
What? No, it was a bit. We all have the same possums, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. No, it was a bit. That's how ours look.
All right. So
I'm
really
starting to doubt I even know what a possum is.
Matt's angry that his possums look like armadillos.
They do though. They look closer to being an armadillo than they do an Australian possum.
Wait, I was fucking with you, but now there's more to this.
Now it's more fun.
How
They have
do
a rat
look
tail?
like armadillos?
They look
Because
no,
they're
that's not what I
essentially
said.
hairless.
I said they look more like an armadillo than they do an Australian possum.
No.
I stand by
Yes.
that.
Wait,
They have gray fur.
Yeah.
they're also
And, like-
called they're sugar gliders. Why don't they?
And they
They
have
should
like
have
the
called it a
porcelain
sugar
mask
glider.
looking thing. Their face looks weird. It looks like a mask.
The point is, he's killing this adorable animal to
So he
suck
killed a
its
sugar
blood.
glider. I'm going to call it a sugar glider since people in America will know what that means.
Sugar
So-
gliders are tiny. They're smaller than your hand.
Well, that's what he was killing. That's an
Well,
alternative
That's
name.
not a lot
for-
of sustenance.
It was like a little just enough to
Ugh.
wet his beak.
I thought sugar gliders were like flying squirrels.
Yeah.
Well,
And they're
it-
awesome.
Apparently, that is also
Ugh.
common examples: brush-tail possum, ring-tail possum,
Wait.
sugar glider.
Is
They're all the
opossum,
same.
is that the Irish possum?
They're all members of the Australian possum.
No, that's just how possum's spelled.
Opossum
Bad.
is it's the plural.
It's the
No,
Irish
it's not the plural.
possum.
It's just how it's
Oh,
spelled.
possum. You know,
I mean, I
at
don't
the end
think
of the
anyone
rainbow.
usually puts the O on the front, but yeah.
I know when I
it's
Googled it, I
there.
sure as shit didn't.
Well, that's why you found the wrong possum.
I found the Australian one. That's what I was looking for.
All right. So, all right.
So he ate a sugar glider. What happened next?
So then the Vigilant started to move and they all got back in the rowboat. The guys came and they headed out to meet the boat. As they neared the Vigilant, it moved to avoid them. Apparently, the deal that was made with the ship captain was off. The Vigilant went out to sea. And was gone.
Hold on. So this little rowboat, he's like, slow down. No, we changed our mind. You're not welcome. Just slowly going to the right.
All right, so they returned to shore. The other three men went back to their camp, telling O'Reilly they would find a new whaling ship. He would just have to wait in the swamp. O'Reilly
Why does he
got
have to wait in the swamp?
so he doesn't get picked up by the
Oh,
guys.
that's a good
So the
point.
warders won't find him.
That's
Yeah.
a good point. Yeah.
He had to, it was his job to hide out in the swamp along with the ROUSs, and
I was
the-
just about to go there.
no one else got it. So
Also,
I
a
made the
reference that
joke.
Mad probably doesn't get.
Yeah. Rodents of unusual size. He
I don't
should
think
get
they
that.
exist.
Look at this, people. You uncultured.
I mean, I know what ROUSs are.
There you go. All right.
You'll never accuse me of being uncultured on that front. That's one of my favorite movies.
Matt
And
is
yet
still
you
trying to
said
figure
dead
out.
silent.
Well,
What?
it wasn't.
I
Maybe
stopped
it was-
listening because I was like, I don't know what this shit is.
Yeah.
I stopped listening because they were butchering the delivery.
Okay. Well, I mean, you could have stepped in and participated.
Well,
I
everybody's
don't
in a
wanna
mood tonight.
participate.
Look, I expect non-participation from Imp, but not from you, Slender.
And he's done his job well.
Always do.
How you enjoying that backstage pass?
All right. So unlike the others, O'Reilly got in his mind that maybe the Vigilant hadn't seen them after all, and he got back in the boat and headed out alone. And again, he saw the Vigilant, and again it moved away from him as he got close. He rowed back to shore.
No.
Now
He's playing
exhausted.
cat and mouse with a whaling ship. He's like, I'll sneak up on them. They don't know it's me. That's why they're trying to run away. They think it's somebody else.
Yep. So he rowed back to shore and was now exhausted. He went to the cabin of the man who was nearby and who was now in on the plan, and he slept for 5 days.
I get that when your Adderall runs out.
When your sugar glider high runs out.
Well, they say sugar gliders are the Adderall of the Outback.
All right, so after 5 days, McGuire shows back up. He said there was a new ship who had agreed to take O'Reilly, but there was a little hiccup. Another convict, one of the worst in the penal colony, had discovered the plan and demanded to be brought along.
Oh, by the way, when they mean like the worst in the penal colony, they don't mean like, oh, he committed mass murders. Like, he's so annoying. He's like, hey, what are you guys doing? He always wants to tag along on all the adventures of the penal colonies.
Well,
penal colonists.
Nor should you. Penal colon? No, the penal colony.
All right, so off they went to Beaumont. They quickly rowed out to the new whaler, the Gazette, and were brought aboard. See, it was fate because he was a reporter at the Gazette. And they were brought aboard. O'Reilly was finally off the colony, but word was out of the 2 escaped convicts and ships were being searched. The Gazette was boarded on the island of Orotarique.
Yep.
And a crew member who was tired of Beaumont
turned him in.
And he was taken away. As the ship left, Beaumont looked at O'Reilly and said, "Goodbye, shipmate."
What did he say?
Goodbye, shipmate.
Oh, this son of a bitch.
It was nice sharing a rope with you.
I want to put a bit more fiber in that diet.
All right, so O'Reilly knew Beaumont was going to make a deal and snitch on him. So he and the shipmate's first captain came up with a plan. He'd hide in a big trunk in the kitchen after pretending to throw himself overboard.
Oh, no, I got too close to the edge. Splash.
He threw something overboard that was heavy, and then he threw his hat in the water. So when the authorities showed up again, all the crew was pointing to his hat. And the crew was so upset that the authorities believed it and left. The ship sailed off.
You have to believe us. There's his hat right there. How could you fake such a thing? His hat.
You know what that really says?
The hat couldn't have made that splash.
Look, let's give these guys that were actually doing the search a little credit. They were like, we know they're lying, but we don't really want to do the paperwork of another one. So what they got was the equivalent of Matt as a police officer doing the search, and he's just like, I know that dude's not there. I know that he's on the boat, but then I'd have to search and I'd have to do statements and paperwork.
There's so many trunks.
It's like, but if he's dead and he just jumped overboard, that's like 1-2 sentences and I'm done. Well, all right. It was good. Thanks for letting us know.
In their defense, though, this was a time where you are not seen without a hat. People will lose their shit and think you are crazy if you're outside without a hat. So it would make sense. Like, well, obviously it's his hat. What would he do without it? You can't fake these things.
They turn in the paperwork. We saw his hat, so we know he's dead. You mean you saw his body? No, we saw his hat. It's the same damn thing.
His head was not with the hat. That means death. This is exactly what. Yes, that was in the report.
As compelling as the hat argument is, I'm gonna go and I'd put my money on just bureaucrats being lazy every day of the week.
The hat argument seems better to me.
Yeah, it seems it's more like, in
good lord,
in
man, we have haberdasheries in this era. Do you think people are seen without hats?
This is a true thing.
All right, so the ship sailed off. O'Reilly was safe. O'Reilly did switch ships to try to hide his trail, and the captain of the Gazette gave O'Reilly all of his money he had on board and told him to return it when he got to America. That was an awful trusting move.
Right? That's like in 1923.
Yeah.
I just think it's weird that like they escaped the island, or not the island, Australia, by jumping on a ship.
Yep.
Immediately, apparently, the warders were like, dispatch our 5 fastest ships. We must get ahead of them and let people know that they're on a ship somewhere and we have to search every ship. It just doesn't seem likely.
Why?
Well, they're on a whaler. They're not on a ship that would go direct to like certain places. So it could be done.
I mean, there's no other way to get off of Australia than a ship. So yeah, if they have like saved convicts, well, we're gonna have to stop ships in the shipping lane to search them for
death. I mean, how do you automatically assume, oh, they must have gotten on a whaling ship?
No, nobody said a whaling, a ship.
Sure. They must have gotten on a ship. There's no way they died and were eaten by, the gigantic insects of Australia.
You're forgetting the part where a person from the ship turned in Beaumont because he was a dick.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Okay. I thought they turned in Beaumont. They were already searching for them. And that's when they turned him in.
Either way, like why wouldn't they be searching ships? I don't see your hang up on this. It's
why
the only
would they
way
know
to
that they're gone?
Because they're convicts. They have numbers. They keep track of how many convicts they have.
They were letting them live in their own huts in whatever part of the area they wanted to. And sleep, apparently, with the warder's daughter.
Well,
I don't know if that was
not like they're in cells at the end of the night and, they're doing a head count.
Right, but
you say that O'Reilly had to run away from his Jesse's girl? Come on. Oh, that was terrible.
I'm not giving that one anything.
You're terrible. Fine.
Terrible.
Wasn't the girl's name Jesse?
No, the guy's name was Jesse. Well, in the song. Yes, the girl's name was Jesse in this.
Yeah, I adjusted the language a little bit to accommodate it.
Which is why it didn't work at all.
Anyway, so he's in America and he owes the captain
what
money.
What happens when he gets to America or not? I mean, I don't know, Bromley. You're just shitting on everything.
When do we get to Canada?
Well, first you have to get to America, and in order to get there from Australia, you take a damn boat. You're gonna.
So I've heard.
So O'Reilly went off and went to America, where shockingly, most of all, he did send the man's money back.
Nice.
Sort of.
Oh.
He published a book of poems and he dedicated it to him.
Well,
but it's okay because the captain was already dead.
So, okay, in his defense though, it's the poet's equivalent to money by dedicating. I dedicate this to the bank for my mortgage. You're good to go.
No artist makes money during their lifetime. It's like an IOU from an artist.
All right. So, yeah. So after O'Reilly had to take 4 ships to make it to America and landed in Philadelphia in November 1869.
Sorry. I know he was going to different places and getting on boats, but in my mind, when you said 4 different ships, I pictured a ship pulling up to another ship and him having to hop onto it to continue the journey.
Yep. So O'Reilly immediately put in his papers to become a U.S. citizen.
Smart thinking.
Though he didn't know anyone, the Fenians of North America knew him. He went to New York, where more Fenians greeted him. They asked him to give a lecture at the Cooper Institute. Over 2,000 people were there to hear his story, which is why the Irish always lost, because they decided to idolize the guy who got caught so many times and sent to Australia.
You see, what I did was I switched my shoes. I took off the convict shoes and I put on normal ones without the arrows. That's how I did it.
This truly is Mad's new channel. 3 out of the 4 viewers are women.
I like them now, right?
Yep. Right.
So then he went to Boston in 1870 and got a
Perfect.
job for a writer at a newspaper called The Pilot. It was a weekly Irish paper that covered all things Irish.
In Boston, say it ain't so.
He also found he had already made a name for himself there, and he gave another lecture in front of a huge crowd on England's political prisoners. He continued to
Now
lecture.
tell me if you've heard this one before. They give convicts different shoes so they're easier to track.
It's like, tell me if you've heard the part about eating the candles. Who here has some boot
some
Boyle?
boot juice?
I'll show you some tricks you can do to make it delicious.
Now, some say that the Australian possum is exactly like an American possum, but it's not. It's more like a sugar glider.
There is nothing more dangerous or fierce than a sugar glider. Let me tell you the story of how I took one down and drank its blood.
So he continued to lecture and write poetry as well as write for the paper. He covered things like the Bloody Orange riots in New York between Catholics and Protestants. He believed in the spirit of equality and compared the suffering in Ireland with the suffering of ex-slaves in America.
We're basically the black people of Europe. I've been seeing this.
He used the paper to call for brotherhood across religious and racial lines. The Pilot was the voice for all who yearn to be free, no matter what their race, color, creed, or former condition be.
So he's a good dude.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I mean,
he sounds pretty cool to me.
I don't know. Like, he still didn't return that guy's money.
Oh my God, he dedicated a book of poetry to him.
That's like so hey, how do I find out that I got this done for me? You have to buy the book.
And he was already dead, by the way.
But he also killed a sugar glider.
All right, so he continued to build up his reputation. He boxed John L. Sullivan, famous early
Boxer.
heavyweight champion. Often took part in sporting events. He was on the top of the heap in Boston and was considered a great spokesperson, athlete, and political activist. He was the LeBron James of his time.
Well, no, that's not fair. He could
Okay,
read.
he was the Bronny James of his time.
He was the Luka.
Who is also a Laker now.
Yeah,
I know. Love that.
Don't get me started. Fire
Anthony
Rico.
Davis is out for the whole season, right?
And guess who else? Kyrie Irving.
Because he's not playing on.
But is his eyebrow still playing?
So he was friends with not just the great politicians of Boston, but also great literary minds. He was friends with President Grover Cleveland.
Oh, the best president to be friends with. His name will go down with the best of them.
Hey, that's the only other president elected to non-consecutive terms besides our current one.
I knew that.
And he was also friends with Cardinal Gibbons, head of the Catholic Church in the United States. That probably goes back to when he was a kid working, on that apprenticeship in
when I first met the Cardinal, it was in Priesttown.
I
was out past curfew.
He's like, O'Reilly, is that you? Turn around and let me make sure.
Boys, you got
70 more people turned around too.
Boy, you got so unattractive, because you're old now. What are you, 22? Ugh.
You want to tell me about the old times when you were a wee lad of 11 at Freestown?
But you has a high-pitched voice, and I'll close my eyes. It'll be the same.
No one was able to eat candles like you.
Like candles, I mean my ass. Go on.
Oh.
Wow. Took it up a notch, huh?
It's Priesttown.
Cardinal Gibbons was ashamed once he found out about the rope and what he had been through. All right. He was so O'Reilly was the president of both the Boston Press Club and the Literary Club, and both on the top rung and bottom rung of the ladder loved John O'Reilly.
How could you not?
The lower classes appreciate him because of his writing. All that time in prison had given him time to work on his literary skills. Because remember, he never stopped writing his poems.
On the walls, he had a paper.
Great.
He specialized in simple couplets about men and from Nantucket.
He was a warrior poet
that would call for freedom against tyranny. They were very popular. He was commissioned to write a poem for the Pilgrim Monument at Plymouth Rock, and he also married and started having many children.
The Irish didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
One day, O'Reilly was walking down the street in Boston when he happened upon a starving homeless man.
Ew. By the way, just a homeless man.
I thought that was Brahma for a second there.
The homeless man was one of the 2 Irish soldiers who had testified against O'Reilly in England.
Real quick, starving homeless man. That is a homeless man.
I mean, some homeless people eat okay.
Not back then, they didn't.
I mean,
Oh,
most
yeah,
homeless people in America seem to eat pretty good.
Well, back then they were eating boot juice and candles.
I mean, I'm constantly amazed at the obese population of homeless we seem to have in the United States.
I find it amazing that he's traveled all around the world as a convict and comes to America and then runs into a homeless guy that testified against him out of everybody in the world.
I mean, well, he's in Boston. If you're Irish,
what are you talking about?
There's like a 94% chance he ended up in Boston. 6% New York.
Potatoes.
All right.
He's
So
like, I'm glad you got your own rock named Plymouth. We over in Ireland, we prefer our stones. Blarney stones. Yes.
So the homeless man was one of the
Wait, there's no more of Brahma's joke. I didn't think he was finished.
No, in America we have rocks. They have stones over there. F you.
That was the whole thing.
Yep, that's all I was doing.
Man, fucking Slender is on one tonight. Good Lord.
There's
It's
something
because it's Lent and
wonderful-
he was giving up smoking.
Oh, yeah, that explains so much.
There's
Although
something
on the second day of Lent, he disappeared and appeared in the chat for a while on one of the shows.
You know, it happens.
all right.
I got one of them fumes. It's no nicotine.
Oh, yeah, I saw an ad for that. How does it work? Is it good?
It sucks. I've had one for 2 years, and look at me.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's minty. Doesn't really help with the cravings.
No, it's more for after you've gotten past the cravings, and it's more to get over the
Oral
psychological
Hand to
sensation.
mouth habit.
Yeah.
Brahma's
Yeah.
never been able to give up hand to mouth. That's his biggest problem.
Yeah.
Believe me.
I will never order anything that Dankula tells me to again. Son of a bitch.
All right, so the soldier was despised and shunned by his fellow soldiers, both English and Irish, after the trial. 'Cause
Even
he
the
was a
English didn't
snitch.
like him.
He's a snitch. You never trust a snitch after you know
True.
they
They usually get stitches.
So his life in the military became unbearable, so he deserted and fled to America, hoping to start over. But the story of his deceit against O'Reilly had followed him.
It's amazing how much information is passed across the goddamn ocean.
Yeah.
The
You
Fenians,
thought you were getting a fresh start in the new world? Fuck that.
What about ass to mouth? What?
I thought that
So
was an
they,
automated teller
that-
machine.
You got to use a patch. The patch works best for ATM.
so the Fenians had
Like a-
put word out to the American
Like an
contingent
acetine patch.
to avoid helping him.
Acetine.
All right, so now no one in America would help him. He was starving and living on the streets. But O'Reilly wasn't angry. Instead, he pitied.
I'm sorry,
the
I
man.
can't get over the patch after
Disappointed.
talking about fume. And fume is just flavored air. And then we go into ass to mouth.
That's a different kind of flavored air.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, this one tastes like. Oh, this one smells like candles and boot juice.
Who got those gross jelly bean flavors?
Why'd you get the Jesse model? O'Reilly's like, the Jesse flavor is why I fled Australia and tried to commit suicide before I left.
Oh, every time I smell a candle fart, it just makes me think of her.
It's like, do you know that If you're a good Irish lass, it's a smell of potatoes and cabbage.
Ah, yes, the
Oh.
cabbage farts, the best flavor of fume.
This is like I
If I
call
could
this
bottle it up, I bet I could help smokers.
I call
Get
this
rid of
blend
the
the
habit.
Shamrock Shake.
No, that
All right.
feels like it's a little liquidy. We can move on. I don't like toilet humor.
Says the man who had to look up the rope.
Yeah.
Which I will
First,
find.
Run entire shows on competitive tickling.
How was this not toilet humor?
That is damn close to toilet humor.
Either way, it's Jana's fault. She brought up the ass to mouth.
It is true.
So O'Reilly said it said he pitied the man, gave him money to help pay his way to another
I
city,
pity the fool.
hoping he could start anew. He also dedicated a book of poems and said,
Oh,
No,
this is to the homeless guy.
"Did you guys have seen Blades of Glory, right?"
Yeah.
Of course.
For some reason, every time I hear the book of poems, I just think of the Will Ferrell thing, the clip from that where the voiceover guy's like, and he wrote his book of poems. Let me put my poems in you.
I dedicate this poem to the homeless guy that I didn't like very much. Wherever you may roam, I'm glad you'll never have a home.
Snitches get stitches.
Metallica chapter 1, verse 3. Wherever you may roam.
All right. In 1870, the British government granted conditional parole to the political convicts in Australia. They were released but not taken back to Ireland. They were now just free in Australia. They then had to figure out their own way back to Ireland.
What an assholes. They didn't even pay for a bus or anything.
So many chose to go to America. But 8 civilians and 15 military prisoners were not given amnesty. One of them tried to escape, was caught on a ship and given 3 years hard labor. The amnesty was also extended to some Fenian prisoners in Ireland, including John Devoy.
Yeah, Devoy. He was
John,
one of those Cajun Irish.
Yeah, John Devoy was the man who organized the
To be
treason.
fair, they called him Johnny Boy DeBoy.
Devoy was one of the men who had organized the treason that infected the British Army. You know, where the British Army just managed to not notice that 30% of ranks.
Yeah.
And there was a time, and I don't know if it's over, but there was a time when the Irish really liked treason, huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, thank God that time's over. No more trying to get the freedom, that independence.
There's also apparently never been a time when the British didn't realize that they're being invaded by somebody from another country. Because it's happening today.
I got it.
Took a little
They're
while.
a lot more accommodating to it these days, though.
Yep.
So soon after his release, Devoy came to O'Reilly. He wanted to get the Fenians out of Fremantle. He wanted to go in by force, shoot their way in and out. O'Reilly thought shooting their way in and out was a bad idea and
Why?
came up with a better plan.
Hey, copied.
So to do that, they had to reach out to all Fenians in America and gather a large amount of money. And the Fenians gave it without whispering the plan to anyone for once. For once in their entire goddamn organization's history.
Okay,
Well,
this plan we're going to keep to ourselves?
To be fair, they didn't whisper it to anybody, but they wrote it all down.
Like, don't worry, John O'Reilly's going to put it in the paper. It's fine. All right, so the Fenians gave them a large amount of money because the plan was to buy a ship, man the ship with a Fenian crew who did not fear death or imprisonment, sail to Western Australia and rescue their brothers from captivity. This would cost $20,000. Bear in mind, this is $20,000 in 1870, so
So they're going one ship on a continent.
Well, no, they're going to try to. I think they're going to try. They're only
they're keeping low key.
8 civilians, 15 military. So what? That's only a total of 23 that they need to get out. So O'Reilly proposed they should buy a whaling ship and pretend they were going out for some whale hunting. That would be less suspicious than another kind of ship off the coast of Australia. He then asked around, and one of the captains, Hathaway, who had helped him escape from Australia, jumped at the chance to provide
You
assistance.
mean I get to pretend to be a whaler and save the Fenians? Oh, count me in.
So on May 27th, 1876, O'Reilly wrote an article about the 17 Irish.
He wrote an article. So the plan is for us to pretend to be whalers and to go off the coast.
So
But don't tell anyone.
Wrote an article about the 17 Irishmen still in prison for attempting revolution. Okay, our numbers dropped a little bit from what we had earlier, so I guess it's just 17 at this point. While everyone else had been freed, they were still there. 140 members of the British Parliament petitioned for these men to be pardoned. It was rejected. So in 1870, apparently 2 years earlier than when he wrote the article, the American Fenians held a convention in Baltimore, and they elected a committee to carry out the escape.
They love their committees.
So this is 1870.
Well, apparently that happened in 1874, but O'Reilly wrote the article in 1876. So I don't know how that happened, but that's how we did it.
Okay, so he's reached 30 years old now.
Yeah.
Good Lord, they lived lives back then. I guess they had to because they died
That's
so
what
young.
I'm getting at. I mean,
he's 30 and has been, wow.
He's been in prison for a third of his life.
Right.
In multiple prisons and a whole continent that is a prison.
And then became one of the most famous people in America. Oh, also he ate a possum. I mean, this dude lived.
Sugar glider.
I thought we established it was the same thing in Australia. Also, for some chat involvement, Josh Hammond, you know the song. Is the O'Reilly Auto Parts high or low at the end of the O'Reilly?
Auto
because
parts.
Mad thinks it's high.
Part.
Me and Chad think it's low.
Where they actually sing out the auto parts.
Auto parts.
It goes O'Reilly auto parts. It drops. It drops. And so the Fenians had the convention in Baltimore, elected a committee to carry out the escape. They sailed to Australia to aid in communication with the prisoners and set up plans there. When they arrived,
how long was that string from can to can?
Well,
to keep up the communication, so they had a can here in America, and then they had to take a can over to Australia, right?
I mean, let's see. They would have telegraph to the end of the line in California, and then take the boat because there was no. I don't think there was any telegraph communications, so no, it would take weeks.
Yeah, 4 weeks. We remember that from last week. Remember, it took 4 weeks.
Yeah. Well, no, Australia to.
Oh wait, that was to Ireland.
That was to
that was. This is going to be a lot longer. This is going to be months.
So they need an extra long string.
So when the advanced scouting party arrived, they saw that the prison was surrounded by unforgiving terrain. You'd think O'Reilly would have been able to tell them this.
Oh, did I not mention that it's a hellscape?
So to the
I like how it took so little time for us to go from you'll sail off the end of the world to a whole bunch of convicts can just buy a boat and sail to Australia from America.
But no, hold on, no, because they were funded by the Fenian Brotherhood. Remember, at this time, it was a huge organization.
Yes, but they all were sailors that are just capable of sailing across the ocean to Australia.
No, they got the captain, Hathaway.
They only needed to man one ship, Brahma. You can between all the Fenians in the entire North American sphere, they could probably pull
I think you can find
the rest of them were going over into Canada and attacking.
You look what they were doing on their own time at this point. O'Reilly was actually funding a rescue operation. So,
well, he dedicated a book of poems to the rescue. I think the Fenian Brotherhood is actually flipping paying the bills.
So the again during the scouting they noted to the east and west were desert, and shark infested. To the east was desert, and the west was shark infested waters. But they also noted that the security at the prison was pretty lax, probably due to the desert and shark infested waters. Pretending to be looking for investment opportunities, the Fenian scouting party made several visits to the prison discussing hiring cheap labor. On one
Oh
of those,
yeah, no, don't worry about it. We're just looking around, looking for opportunities, So how many
on one,
guards do you have on duty at night? Oh,
All right, real
interesting.
quick, because there's a misunderstanding in the chat now. At the very beginning of the stream, Josh, Mad saying the O'Reilly thing. And me and Chad think that the O'Reilly Auto Parts is low, and Mad sang it high. We're not correcting you on your first appearance, and
I thought that's what we were
Mad
doing.
made
That's
that
what you
joke at the
said.
very beginning.
No, I
No,
didn't.
because
You can
we
go back
can't
and
tell
check.
whether we can't tell whether Josh did the O'Reilly Auto Parts as low or high.
Yeah, but you're correcting him on it though.
no, we were correcting you, and Brahma was
Correcting
asking.
Not how
you,
I
and I was
remember-
asking
Nah.
chat for participation on is the O'Reilly Auto Parts
Nope.
lower?
I apologize, Josh, for these guys being so mean to you.
Brahma was
come in
counting
here-
on Josh to be an authority to resolve the fact that Mad did
Instead,
it wrong.
Punk Waddle
Nope.
was the authority and said it is in a lower timber.
Not how I remember it. I remember you guys like, hey, when that Josh guy comes into the chat tonight, let's fucking give him so much shit.
I'm gonna find the freaking commercial just to screw with you.
Go on. Oh god.
Anyway, yeah. So,
I'll look it up.
on one of the visits, a message was given from from the scouting party to the Fenians in captivity. So now the Fenians knew a rescue plan was in the works, and they should try to avoid solitary confinement, so they could make a run for it at any point.
Change your shoes.
Two other men from Ireland, totally independent and without knowledge of the American plan, showed up to break out their fellow prisoners at the same time. They had $5,000 with them, but when they learned of the American plan, they were like, let's do that instead. So their job would be to cut the telegraph wires from Fremantle to Perth during the escape so it couldn't be reported.
I just love the idea of just random people showing up like, oh, is that what you were here too?
Ooh, this actually finally explains Brahma's worry about how other outlying islands and locations would have learned of the prisoners before, because if they could send telegraph messages to the other side of Australia and boats could be dispatched from there, it would give them a head start over other places.
Boom.
I don't think they even have telephone lines across all of Australia now. I definitely don't believe they had telegram lines.
Okay, they would have it to like Perth, which was an actual major port.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, that's the port of entry where our boy O'Reilly got brought into Australia before he was shipped.
He was put
further
in Fremantle.
No, but he was brought into Perth when he first got to Australia.
Yeah, Perth first, then shipped to Fremantle from Perth.
True.
I'm going to do a rewind.
You really just can't accept it. That's fine. All right, so in America, the ship Catalpa. That is a stupid name. Katalpa was bought by the Fenians. It left New Bedford in April 1875. It was commanded by Captain Anthony. Anthony was an Irish Protestant who had been convinced to take part because he thought the men were being wrongly held.
Because they were.
There was only one Irishman and the crew. Captain Hathaway had selected the men. This multicultural ship would then look like an ordinary whaling ship.
See
that
there?
addresses Brahma's other concern about the shipping.
Yep.
They sailed for a year, snagging one whale that made them $11,000.
Holy shit! We got a whale. We should do this for real.
Yeah, they actually had expected to get more whales. Then this one. There was bad weather, and there was a faulty navigation device, and 6 crew members jumped ship at the Azores. On March 1st, 1876, the ship finally arrived in Bunbury, Western Australia. The Fenians who had come ahead to meet up with the captain of the ship discussed the plans. All the prisoners were being shifted around their assignments, so all 6 needed to be outside the walls. All right, so now we're down to 6 that need to be broken out.
Yeah.
We've
Prison's
had
not
it.
good for people.
Yeah, we've had a steady decline. Originally, it went from
Yeah.
23 to 17. Now we're down to 6.
That's why it's so important. If we can just get one of them, the $400,000 we spent would be.
I need
worth
my money, Tom. So all 6 would need to be outside the walls on the day of the escape. Anyone stuck inside would be left behind. On Sunday, April 15th, 1876, the prisoners received a message. They would make for the ship in the morning.
Imagine if you overslept. Like, oh no, was it today? My fucking alarm didn't go off. I was going to escape.
We have money, arms, and clothes. Let no man's heart fail them. The men then went ahead to Fremantle and waited for the telegram. A week later, on Saturday afternoon, the ship stopped at a lighthouse near Rotten Nest. The captain took a whaleboat and headed for shore with 6 men. None of the men knew what they were doing. They arrived at night and were supposed to wait until morning, 20 miles up the coast from Fremantle Prison. On Monday, April 16th, the two other Fenians, the 2 that had come in,
that came in on their own,
cut the cable to Perth. Those 2 then got horses, wagons, and guns and went to run to the rendezvous point with no idea how many prisoners would show. It was a good day for a prison break. Prisoner Thomas Darrow was out digging potatoes with no car.
Of course he was outside digging potatoes.
What is Little Chad reading? I thought this was about pulling a Mauler and EPAPing random bizarre movies with Mad's unique commentary. That one is still in development. So, I guess. Thomas Hassett and Robert Cranston were able to talk their way outside. So I guess the Irishman,
like, oh, I just wanted to show I just wanted to show Mickey the rainbow. I heard it's a double rainbow.
Martin Hogan was actually off painting the warden's house. Michael Harrington and James Wilson lied, saying they were supposed to be painting the warden's house. And the 7th Fenian prisoner was left behind because he attempted to cooperate with the British 10 years before. So fuck him.
Fuck him. Yep.
So, all right. So now we're down to the 6 Fenian prisoners showing up and climbing into the wagon, and then they went 20 miles to the Captain Anthony and the waiting rowboat. At the prison, they realized the prisoners were now missing because no one was digging potatoes or painting the house anymore.
They're like, where are the potatoes? Yeah.
All right, so the prisoners reached the rowboat, but the Catalpa was out to sea, so they were going to have to row for hours and hours and hours. They set out, but soon saw police on horseback and trackers arriving at the beach they just left.
Those are the water polo horses. You gotta row faster.
So soon, a Coast Guard cutter and steamer were headed towards the rowboat. The guys in the rowboat put it in gear and hauled ass as fast as possible. One of the Fenians pulled out a letter he had just mailed to the British governor of Western Australia and read it aloud to fire the men up in the rowboat.
What letter was it?
A letter he had just sent to the British Western Australia.
Oh, boys, do you hear him? Read it again. D.
Let's see.
Was that the letter?
No, I'm gonna read the letter for you. So the letter ends. So he read it out, and apparently we know what was in it because it's here. This is to certify that I have this day released from the clemency of Her Most Gracious Majesty Victoria, Queen of Great Britain, etc., etc., etc. 6 Irishmen condemned.
Did he say etc.?
It's wrote out, etc., etc. Because I'm guessing they didn't want to actually do the part where the Queen of Great Britain, the full title is Queen of Great Britain, the British Isles, and Ireland.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of like a backhanded, like, et cetera, like Oh yeah, Queen of the Freemen of the blah blah blah, Stormborn, etc., etc.
Yeah, the Irish aren't going to acknowledge her as the queen. Anyway, 6 Irishmen condemned to imprisonment for life by the enlightened and magnanimous government of Great Britain for having been guilty of the atrocious non-pardonable crimes known to the unenlightened portion of mankind as love of country and hatred of tyranny.
Oh, the sarcasm is dripping.
Of Irish assurance, my birth and blood being my full and sufficient warmth, allow me to add that in taking my leave now, I've only to say a few cells I've emptied. I've the honor and pleasure to bid you on a good day from all future acquaintance. Excuse me, I pray in the service of my country, John J. Preston.
Hurry up, boys, or he's gonna read it again. We got to roll faster.
Yeah, this is long.
Yeah, so they could
This
now
is
see
where at the end.
Yeah, so they could now see the Catalpa.
No,
in the
I'm talking
distance.
about what he wrote.
Oh,
Yeah.
that? Yeah, well, yeah, it was to the Queen. You
I
gotta
mean, no, it was to the governor of Australia. But,
whoever.
But if you're writing off your "fuck off, I'm escaping from prison" letter, you're gonna put in some stuff.
I
Right?
suppose you put in the work.
I
Yeah.
would love that the end. P.S. That was sarcasm.
P.S. Kiss my potato, you English bastard. They could now see the Catalpa in the distance, but it looked like the steamer would get them first. The wind was picking up. Then the darkness came. The wind continued to increase, and waves crashed down on the overloaded boat. But Captain Anthony was calm, ordering them to bail out the boat while rowing. He he didn't, but he was worried if they'd make it. In the morning, the steamer arrived at the Catalpa, and the captain asked if he could come aboard. Sam Smith, who was now in charge of the Catalpa, said,
Wait,
Not-
hold on. Isn't this the part?
"No, that's later." There's just one exchange here.
Oh,
You're
okay, all
thinking
right.
of anyway.
I like how that worked out. No. Dead
So-
silence.
So Sam Smith responded, "Not by a damn sight." Fortunately, the steamer was now low on fuel and was forced to return to shore. The rowboat had made a dash for it and barely made it ahead of the cutter. From the cutter, the British yelled, "We're not done with you yet." And Captain Anthony yelled, "Put to sea," and the Catalpa got underway, turning around, and then nothing. The wind went dead. The ship just sat there and sat there. In the morning, the steamer was back and armed with a 12-pound cannon. The steamer pulled aside alongside the boat, and the Fenians weren't having it. They grabbed the rifles and guns and got ready for a fight to the death. The whaling crew of the Catalpa decided to join in. They grabbed harpoons and got ready to have a go. So
These are the guys that were like, I thought we were whaling, but now we're on a prison break.
it's like, fuck it, let's kill some Englishmen.
Yeah, we don't like them either. Whatever nationality we are.
They also loaded their whale
Who
guns.
didn't hate the British back then, though?
True.
And then the British fired across the Catalpa's bow. Heave to, what for? Captain Anthony replied.
Fucking sea speak.
You've escaped prisoners on board that ship. Captain Anthony responded, "You're mistaken. There's no prisoners aboard this ship. Just freemen. May I come aboard?" "No," Captain Anthony said. And then they continued.
So this was the part that we were supposed to do.
Yeah, but you didn't have it ready, so
I'm looking right at it.
All right, then do it.
No,
man.
it's all right. Keep going. It's fine. Maybe next time.
You didn't do anything. I thought I waited. You didn't say anything. Fine. All right. So the cutter captain said, "I can see the prisoners on the deck."
I think what's happened is Mads called an audible because he feels as though the rest of us might not be in the right headspace for this.
Maybe. So the captain said, "I can see the prisoners on the deck." But here's the thing. Everyone on the deck was just regular crew. The Fenians were below. All right. You are so the cutters. "You are medieval to British laws. Have to, or I'll blow your mast out." Captain Anthony responded, I know no British laws. I am bound for sea. I cannot wait. So the cutter responded, I'll give you 15 minutes to surrender. May I come aboard, sir?
No.
No, Captain Anthony said. And then he had
No,
an idea.
Captain, my captain.
But
Oh,
then
wow. Tied it all back together.
yeah, and this is where Captain Anthony had his brilliant idea. He pointed to the flag on the ship, which was American. As the ship was sailing under the American flag and on the high sea, he said, this ship is sailing under the American flag and she is on the high seas. If you fire on me, I'll warn you that you are firing on the American flag.
So
Don't
step
tread
the
on
fuck
me,
off.
motherfucker.
So at this point, the wind started up again because he invoked America
And God loves America.
and God loves America. So the mainsail went up and off went the Catalpa. The steamer followed for an hour, but they weren't sure about firing on an American ship in international waters, so they turned around. So before the Catalpa arrived in the United States, the city marshal of New Bedford received a letter. It was from the superintendent of police, M.A. Smith of Perth. Sir, and the letter went as follows. Sir, I beg to inform you that on the 17th, the imperial convicts named in the margin absconded from the convict settlement at Fremantle in this colony. They escaped from the colony and the American whaling boat Catalpa with Captain Anthony Master. This boat is from New Bedford, Massachusetts, USA. The convicts were taken from the shore in a waiting boat belonging to the Catalpa, manned by Captain Anthony and 6 crew. The abettors were Collins, Jones, and Johnson. I attach a description of each of the absconders and have to request that you will be good enough to finish me with any particulars you may be able to gather concerning them. I have the honor to be, sir, your obedient servant, M.A. Smith.
God, that's the most pretentious British letter I've ever heard.
Unfortunately, the officer in charge of the police department at New Bedford, Massachusetts, was Henry Hathaway, the same Henry Hathaway who was the captain of the second ship that helped O'Reilly gain his freedom and had been the man who selected the entire crew for the Catalpa.
So he was not
He was not
helpful.
inclined to forward the letter on. It took 4 months for the Catalpa to arrive in New York. A crowd of thousands greeted them. They had a Finian procession up Broadway. They had a freaking Tinker Day parade for these.
Yeah.
They then sailed to New Bedford, where they found the same, with crowds and cannons blasting. A public reception was given. John O'Reilly gave a speech. George Devoy, Anthony, and others were called heroes, a label greatly helped by the writings of O'Reilly in the pilot. Word of the Fremantle prison break spread around the world. The cost of the operation totaled $25,000 and was probably the most successful thing the Finians had ever done.
It's the only successful thing that they've ever done.
The British weren't happy. They accused the U.S. of fomenting terrorism. Eventually, the British came around and said that it was a good thing because the Finns were just an expensive nuisance and they were glad to be rid of them.
That's cope. I've never heard more cope.
Sour grapes.
That statement was put out by their non-practicing attorney living in Minnesota. So it had that much cope. The Fremantle Six were in shit shape, though, after years of hell.
Why?
They were broken men because they lived in the goddamn desert death camps of Australia. They were broken men.
But they had all the candles and boot oil they could ever want.
I'm surprised they didn't come back, with gaining weight.
Yeah. So they were broken men, but the story of their escape inspired the Irish for generations. I think these were, I'm guessing, words of John O'Reilly.
Yes.
So come, you screw warders and jailers, remember Perth Regatta Day. Take care for the rest of your Finians, or the Yankees will steal them away.
What the fuck?
By the way, I love that's the only point that we got from him.
He's saying that the Americans will break out the Finians from your death camps.
Dude, this dude was part of the Canadian invasion, wasn't he?
No, it sounds like he only.
No, he was busy in Australia.
They could have used him. He would have came up. Hey guys, why don't we not tell everyone our plan?
That's true. He at least figured that part out.
All right, we're also getting to the part where we can see why Mad truly relates to John O'Reilly. He continued to write for the pilot in poems and novels. He was a leading political voice in the Irish community, but passed away in 1890. He had suffered from horrible insomnia, and some said it was because he was torn in so many directions and had a hard time keeping up. So he took some of his
ADHD.
So he took some of his wife's sleeping pills on August 9th, 1890, and was found dead.
1890, so 54?
Oh, what a long life.
56.
A long field life. Well, all right then.
That was something.
He dies. That's
Leave it to the Irish.
I wanted to mix in a successful Finian story in this month.
So you found the one.
Yes. Next week.
I mean, dude, compared to last week, that dude was definitely kicking ass.
Yeah, he was on his shit. That's what happens if you're literate.
And a poet.
Yep.
A warrior poet.
And you grew up in a castle.
They fought like Scots.
Oh dear. Soul Assassin has come in with the commercial jingle too.
And next week we will have one more Finian story. Guess where it takes place? Australia.
Another one in Australia.
Yeah, but this is like deep Australia.
This is the way out back.
No, actually, it covers several different cities.
I'm kind of disappointed because when I came into the backstage, Mad was just talking to Imp, who was not talking at all. And all Mad was doing was practicing Australian words.
Yep.
In an Australian accent, and I heard none of them tonight.
Getting ready for next week.
I have to imagine that at some point, Imp is going to die in the middle of a stream and none of us are going to realize it.
Honestly, he could be dead right now.
I'm kind of wondering.
I'm dead inside. Does that count?
So glad you could be here.
Come on, Irene.
Anyway, anybody got anything else?
Awesome. Ascendant Arcade, Ascendant Art on Friday nights. Be there or be square.
Don't forget, you can email us at madcheesemo@gmail.com. You can call and leave a voicemail at 726-610-5355.
I believe that's
I gotta write that number down.
Slender,
Punkwaddle, write that number down and put that last comment in voicemail form.
Yep.
All right, Slender, are you writing it down?
I got it. It's
all right.
Written down.
So next week will be the return of the mailbag. It fucking better return.
It'll return. You're gonna have so much mail next week.
Voicemail.
To Mike Jones. Mike Jones. Oh, I got it. 726-610-5357. Mike Jones. Y'all remember Mike Jones? He can give out his real number.
Oh, he did? That's it.
Yeah. You could call it. I think it may even still be active today.
But this is a real number.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and so is his.
Please do call.
Yep. Ready. We're out of here. Bye, guys.
Later.
Okay, bye.
Have a good one.
A Machiavelli production.
Listen now, Mr. Kansas Law Dog. Law don't go around here. Savvy? Yeah. Yeah, that's real good, Law Dog, because law just don't go around here.
They keep on calling me, want me to put it down. Oh, baby, run to me, don't go from smile to frown. Hey, Law Dog. law don't go around here. And I say, hey, law doggy, law don't go around here. You're no daisy at all. And I say, hey, law doggy, law don't go around here. You're no daisy at all.
I want you to know it's over.